The Johnson family had moved into Willow Creek Estates with excitement and hope. Marcus had worked hard for years in the tech industry, saving up enough to buy a home that would give his children space to play in a good school district to grow up in. When he and his wife Tasha first saw the two-story brick house at the end of a cul-de-sac, they knew it was perfect. The neighborhood looked calm, quiet, and ideal for raising a family. But Marcus noticed almost immediately that not everyone was happy to see them move in. The very first day, when the moving trucks pulled up, a couple of neighbors stood across the street, watching without offering a hello or a wave. One man whispered something to his wife, who frowned and turned her back. Marcus didn't let it bother him. He had lived through worse. He focused on unloading boxes, while their kids ran excitedly through the empty house. Tasha, already scheduled for another Navy deployment, kissed him on the cheek and told him to hold it down until she returned. "Keep your cool, babe," she said. "These people will come around once they see who we are." At first, Marcus believed her. He kept the lawn trimmed, made sure the house was spotless, and paid every HOA fee right on time. Still, the letters began arriving. The first was about a trash bin left, in plain sight, on collection day. The second accused him of painting his shutters an unapproved shade, even though Marcus could point to 3 other homes on the same street with identical colors. Each time, he responded politely, sending emails with photos as proof. The responses from the HOA were always curt, dismissive, and followed by more fines. It soon became obvious what was happening. They weren't enforcing rules fairly. They were targeting him and his family. If his grass grew half an inch too tall, they wrote a warning. If his children left their bikes by the garage door, he got a citation. Meanwhile, his white neighbors left toys scattered across their yards, parked RVs in the street, and no one said a word to them. Marcus began to notice a pattern. Every complaint letter came signed by the same person, Linda, the HOA president. She was the kind of woman who wore her authority like a crown, strutting around the neighborhood with a clipboard, writing things down as if she were the mayor. Marcus decided to let most of it slide. He didn't want to start fights. He especially didn't want to upset Tasha while she was away serving her country. She had enough on her plate, and he wanted her to focus on her duty without worrying about petty neighborhood drama. But the HOA escalated. One evening, after Marcus had finished mowing the lawn, there was a knock at the door. He opened it to find Linda and 2 board members. Linda wore a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Mr. Johnson," she said, "we've reviewed your file, and it's clear your property does not meet the standards of this community. The board has decided it would be best if you and your family vacated within 30 days. Marcus thought he misheard her. "Vacate? You're asking me to leave my own home? On what grounds?" Linda's smile widened, as though she enjoyed his confusion. "You've repeatedly violated HOA regulations. Lawn maintenance, improper parking, unsightly clutter. We've given you plenty of warnings. The board is authorized to pursue legal action if you refuse." The other 2 board members shifted uncomfortably, but neither spoke. Marcus stood in stunned silence, his fists clenching at his sides. He wanted to shout, but he forced himself to stay calm. "I'll believe you can do that when I see it," he said, then shut the door in their faces. That night, after putting the kids to bed, Marcus finally called Tasha. He hadn't planned on telling her, but he couldn't hold it in anymore. He explained the months of harassment, the fines, the threats, and now the demand that they leave. He braced himself for her anger or frustration, but when she finally spoke, her voice was calm and steady. "Marcus," she said, "don't you lose sleep over this. I'm coming home sooner than you think. And when I get there, we'll handle it." 2 weeks later, the HOA made their boldest move yet. They scheduled a special meeting, right on the Johnsons' front lawn. Notices were posted throughout the neighborhood, inviting residents to attend. By Saturday morning, a crowd had gathered, neighbors holding coffee cups, some curious, some entertained, and some whispering about what might happen. The board members arrived with clipboards and a portable speaker, clearly ready to make an example out of the Johnson family. Marcus stood on the porch with his kids beside him. His heart pounded, but he kept his posture straight. He wasn't about to let them see fear. Linda, dressed like she was chairing a corporate meeting, turned on the microphone and began listing the so-called violations. She spoke in a condescending tone, her words carefully chosen to humiliate. Finally, she declared that the Johnsons were unsuitable residents, and that eviction proceedings would begin. But before she could hand Marcus the official-looking document she waved in her hand, a car pulled up at the curb. Heads turned as Tasha stepped out, her navy uniform pressed to perfection, ribbons lined across her chest, cap tucked neatly under her arm. She walked toward the crowd with the kind of confidence that made people instinctively move aside. The sun caught the gold insignia on her shoulder, and the murmurs in the crowd turned to silence. Marcus felt his chest swell with pride. His wife was finally home. Tasha stopped in front of the board, her posture crisp, her gaze steady. "What exactly is happening here?" she asked, her voice carrying over the lawn. Linda hesitated for a split second before regaining her composure. "Mrs. Johnson," she said smoothly, "we were informing your husband that your family has repeatedly failed to comply with community standards. The board is exercising its right to have you removed. It's nothing personal, it's about maintaining the quality of this neighborhood." Tasha's eyes narrowed slightly, though her expression remained calm. "Nothing personal," she repeated. "You've harassed my husband and children for months with baseless citations while turning a blind eye to others who break the same rules. That's not enforcement, that's discrimination." The crowd stirred. Some neighbors shifted uncomfortably, realizing she was right. Others avoided her gaze, guilty of having silently watched the harassment unfold. Linda cleared her throat. "Mrs. Johnson, we have authority under the bylaws. If you don't like it, perhaps this community isn't the right fit for you." Tasha stepped closer, her voice firm but calm. "Listen carefully. I've served this country for over a decade. I've stood on ships in foreign waters to protect freedoms that you're abusing here. You will not intimidate my family. You have no power to evict us, and if you attempt another stunt like this, I'll use every legal and military connection I have to make sure you answer for it." Her words cut through the silence like steel. The board members shifted nervously, glancing at Linda, who suddenly looked less confident. The neighbors who had gathered for drama now stood frozen, realizing they were witnessing something much larger, a woman defending her family with the authority of both her service and her presence. Tasha didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. The weight of her words, backed by years of service and sacrifice, carried more force than any letter ever could. The silence stretched. Then Marcus reached for her hand, and the children looked up at their mother with pride. For the first time since moving into Willow Creek, the Johnsons didn't feel alone. They felt unshakable.